Sudden awakening. In a small house in the countryside, 17-year-old Tan and 15-year-old Fee have just returned from school. Although tired, they quickly change clothes, grab buckets, and head to the river. Life isn't easy for them, but they rarely complain. They wade through the river, catching crabs and snails to earn some money for the family's meals. Chatting quietly as they work, Tan glances at his younger brother, who is concentrating on catching crabs. "Let's try to catch a little more today so Mom can buy some meat to help Dad recover." Fi nods, his young face carrying the weight of responsibility beyond his years. "I understand, brother." Their voices are gentle, calm, carrying the burdens of their family, something few at their age would bear. Though still young, both brothers have taken on the heavy responsibility of supporting their family. Their father, Mr. Ka, sits in an old chair by the window, gazing outside. Once strong and sturdy, his body is now weakened, with a slight limp caused by a car accident in the past. After the accident, he lost his job, and the family's life grew more difficult. Watching his sons and wife work hard in the field every day fills him with guilt and regret. He clenches his hands, feeling helpless. His wife quietly brings him a cup of tea, her face gentle but radiating love. "They're young, but working so hard," he murmurs. "Too hard." She gently places a hand on his shoulder, her voice soft. "They do it out of love for you." Yet Mr. Ka's face remains troubled, as if he can't accept the sacrifices his sons make. He suddenly remembers his younger sister, Lee. After marriage, Lee moved to the north to live with her husband. Lee sent him money whenever she could, even though her life in the north is difficult. Lee's husband, now 60, is retired, and he lives on his pension. Lee has no children of her own, so she loves Mr. K's children as her own. She often sends money to help her nephews continue their studies in tough circumstances. In the north, Lee, now 50, works hard, denying herself any luxuries to save money to help her brother. Her face bears the wrinkles of hard labor in a garment factory, reflecting both resilience and love. Hearing of her brother's sudden stroke, which left him wheelchair-bound, she immediately bought milk, supplements, and gathered all her savings to travel south to visit him. She remembers the long hours at the factory, always hoping for more work, not for herself, but to support her brother's family. On her journey south, she murmurs to herself, "He's my only family. How could I not care?" During the long trip of 3 days on the train, memories come flooding back. Her brother's accident, her sacrifices to redeem the family's land he once pawned, and his bitter words. "Gestina." But despite it all, she never stopped caring for him. Since becoming paralyzed, Mr. Ka now relies on a wheelchair. His legs ache from lack of movement, and his 2 sons take turns carrying him to the bathroom, lifting him from the bed to the outdoors to let him enjoy the morning sun. They feed him, bathe him, and massage his legs every night. One day, as Tan gently spoon-feeds his father porridge, he notices tears welling up in Mr. Ka's eyes. "Why Why do you do all this for me?" he chokes out, deeply moved by his son's love. Tan smiles softly, his eyes kind yet slightly tired. "Because you're our father, and you've done so much for us." One day, Lee arrives at Mr. Ka's home, carrying milk and supplements for him. Despite her hard life, she remains strong, her eyes filled with resilience and love. When she steps into the house, Mr. Ka is stunned, feeling a mix of shame and remorse. His voice trembles as he greets her. "Lee, you didn't have to come all this way." Lee steps forward and gently places a hand on his shoulder. "You're my only family. How could I not visit?" They sit together in silence, words unspoken hanging in the air. Lee's face softens as she finally speaks her heart. "I sacrificed everything so your children could go to school and have a future. I've never regretted it, even though you never understood." Mr. K's expression changes upon hearing these words, realizing the depth of his sister's sacrifices. For the first time, he sees the truth. She had quietly shouldered the responsibilities of a parent on his behalf without ever asking for anything. As Lee prepares to leave, Mr. Ka grasps her hand tightly. Tears roll down his cheeks as he finally speaks the words he had never said before. I'm sorry, Lee. I never knew. I was selfish, too narrow-minded to see all you've done for my family." Lee smiles, her face lighting up, filled with relief and forgiveness. It's never too late to understand, Ka. The scene ends with Mr. Ka watching his sister leave, his heart heavy yet full of regret. He looks over at his sons, feeling a newfound appreciation for all that his family has given him. He realizes that, despite the hardships, he is truly blessed to have the love and care of those dear to him. In the days that follow, Mr. Ka begins to change his behavior. He expresses gratitude toward his sons, cherishing each small act of care. When villagers come to visit, he speaks of his sister with pride, acknowledging her sacrifices and kindness. For the first time, he feels a sense of peace, accepting that even though he hasn't given much, he has received the gift of love from his family. And with that awakening, he finds tranquility, understanding that he is still fortunate to have loved ones who genuinely care for him during his illness. The story closes on a peaceful evening, with Mr. Ka, Tan, Phi, and their mother sitting together. The atmosphere is warm, quiet, but filled with love and understanding, bringing peace to each soul, not a sense of sorrow or despair over illness and poverty, but a true appreciation for each other. This story reflects the power of family love and sacrifice, as well as the strength of forgiveness. It reminds us that true value does not lie in material things, but in the enduring support and love we find in family.
Vocabulary words with definitions and examples from the story A Sudden Awakening. 1. Modest, simple, and humble, in character or lifestyle. Example, Lai lived a modest life, saving every penny to support her brother's family. 2. Resilience, the ability to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. Example, Lai's resilience was evident in her determination to work hard despite her struggles. 3. Responsibility, the state or fact of having a duty to deal with something or take care of someone. Example, Tan and Phi carried the responsibility of supporting their family at a young age. 4. Sacrifice an act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important. Example: Lee made countless sacrifices to ensure her nephews could continue their education. 5. Paralyzed, unable to move or act due to injury or illness. Example: Mr. Ka was paralyzed after his stroke, relying on his family for care. 6. Guilt, a feeling of having committed a wrong or failed in an obligation. Example: Mr. K felt deep guilt as he watched his family work hard to support him. 7. Tranquility, a state of peace and calm. Example: Mr. K found tranquility in the love and care of his family. 8. Burden, a heavy load, especially a duty or responsibility. Example: Phi's young face carried the burden of responsibility for his family. 9. Gratitude, the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation. Example: Mr. K expressed his gratitude to his sister for her unwavering support. 10. Regret, a feeling of sadness or disappointment over something that has happened. Example: Mr. Ka regretted not appreciating Lee's sacrifices sooner. Phrases with definitions and examples from the story A Sudden Awakening. 1. Beyond their years, displaying maturity or qualities unusual for someone of their age. Example: Tan and Phi carried responsibilities beyond their years to support their family. 2. Shoulder the responsibility to take on a burden or duty. Example: Lai shouldered the responsibility of helping her brother's family despite her own struggles. 3. Day-to-day struggles, the continuous challenges faced in daily life. Example: The family's day-to-day struggles taught Tan and Phi the value of hard work. 4. Unspoken words, feelings, or thoughts that are understood without being said aloud. Example: The unspoken words between Lai and Mr. K revealed their deep emotions. 5. Fill with guilt, to feel a strong sense of remorse or regret. Example: Watching his sons work so hard filled Mr. Ka with guilt. 6. Come flooding back, to return suddenly and vividly, often referring to memories. Example: On her train ride south, memories of her sacrifices came flooding back to Lai. 7. Radiating love, expressing warmth and affection clearly and strongly. Example: Despite her hard life, Lai's face was radiating love as she greeted her nephews. 8. Cherish each moment, to deeply appreciate and value every experience or time. Example: Mr. K began to cherish each moment spent with his family. 9. A newfound appreciation, a recently developed sense of value or gratitude for something. Example: Mr. K developed a newfound appreciation for his sister's sacrifices. 10. Never too late, an expression meaning that there is still time to change or improve. Example: Lai told Mr. Ka, "It's never too late to understand."